On this episode of Heal the Girl, I'm talking with my very own sister, Akira. I've looked up to her for as long as I can remember. Not only are we sisters, we're the best of friends. God really did something special when he gave us one another. It was Akira who first introduced me to YouTube and the world of content creation. Together, back in 2011, we created the Q&A show, where we shared advice and answered questions for real-life situations with our comical twist. Time moved forward, she got married, and things took an unexpected turn. Everything changed.
But forensically and statistically, strangulation is a precursor to homicide. I have been strangled more than I've been punched. I've been strangled more than I've been punched. I've had to tap out like a wrestler to communicate. I really cannot breathe. I'm going out. If you don't let me go, I'm going out. The reason that I could even get to the altar, I think, is because I knew I was capable of flaring up as well. You know, so if he was cursing at me, I was at that stage in my life where I was cussing back. I had not let Jesus refine me to that extent yet. You know what? Some might think this is wicked, but when that firearm went off and it missed me, I laughed. Because I'm like, finally somebody's gonna see how evil you are. Why are you playing with firearms in our bedroom? And I told him to his face, I believe you are a narcissist.
Welcome back, or welcome to Heal the Girl. I'm Kiana, and this is a safe space for us to share our stories, learn from one another, and walk through our life journeys together. Today's episode is really, really special, you guys. All of my episodes are special. However, I have my sister here with us today. Say hi, Akira.
Hi, everybody.
Oh my gosh, it's good to be here with you.
It's pretty crazy.
Recording.
It's a full circle moment.
Backstory, we used to film YouTube content back in like 2011. We were doing advice videos with a twist.
Hi, I'm Kiana.
And I'm Akira, and you're watching Q&A,
where we put a twist on situations that we deal with as young people.
And today we're going to talk about the Crotch Chronicles.
And, you know, sharing our goofy side.
We're actually OG YouTubers.
But today we are going to be sharing your story, which is pretty heavy, really.
That we hope ultimately blesses the audience. Again, really deeply personal for me, but the goal is to help.
Absolutely, and it's a story that needs to be told because we know that others are probably going through the same thing. That's the whole point behind Heal the Girl, because somebody has walked in your shoes before. At Heal the Girl, we believe sharing heals. But before we get too heavy, we're going to go ahead and take a walk in Akira's shoes.
Yay.
This is the segment where we get to know you a little bit more. This is a fun time where we get to take a look at a pair of shoes that hold sentimental value to you, or a shoe that you just happen to love, and walk through the journey with you. So, Akira, show us your shoes, girl.
So the shoes that I'm wearing today are actually my signature shoes. These are my personality. These are my favorite shoes because I wear them literally everywhere and for everything. And the reason that they're special to me is because I believe that they just kind of beautify everything that I have to do in life. So if I'm rain or shine, if I'm going to the grocery store, if I'm walking through the park, whatever it is that I have to do, I could be doing the grungiest thing and I am still wearing my beautiful shoes because they just, for me, they brighten up everything. They add a little sparkle to my life. And I have probably I've bought maybe 4 or 5 pairs of these just because they're super comfortable. I love these little ballet slippers. I think they're ultra feminine.
Yes.
Some might think that they're too much, but they dress up like the most casual thing.
Yeah.
And I guess the way that they kind of tie into my story is that I just kind of remember sliding these shoes on every day for a few years, even walking through some extreme ugliness, and subconsciously these shoes making me feel happy and beautiful.
Wow.
So
that sounds special. And I have to say, I love these shoes. Every time we see them, we always give you a compliment. We're like, oh my gosh, those shoes are so cute. And she has a few different pairs, as she said, like, different colors.
And them in different colors. I get them on Amazon. It's no secret.
I might have to get them.
Others have started buying them since they've seen me in them. So.
You need an affiliate link if we're gonna plug like that.
I'm just gonna say they come from Amazon.
Okay.
I ain't telling you exactly what it is.
Okay.
No, okay.
All right.
Sharing
At Heal the Girl,
heals.
we believe sharing heals. So thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about your story. Just wanted to share this too. Very interesting fact about the 7 years or 7 times.
If a divorce is going to happen, usually it happens within 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Also, victims of domestic violence or survivors of domestic violence often flee or separate from their abuser 7 times. For me, it was 4. And the divorce statistic is that most of the time when people are going to divorce, they divorce at the 7th year. And that's also the case for me.
Interesting how that statistic lines up with your story. So let's talk about your story, sis.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Where do you want to start?
I know it's pretty heavy, but we can start with what you saw, because I feel like when anybody gets in a relationship, they're not expecting it to end in turmoil and abuse. So
Or start that way.
or
in my
even
case,
start that
yeah.
way. So how did your relationship start?
Well, our relationship started, we were introduced to each other in a meeting. We seemed to be like-minded. I reached out to him for business purposes, and we ended up talking a lot over emails.
Right.
And then eventually we texted, we had a texting relationship, had that first phone call, talked a lot, and then, there was a first date. Everything seemed all right.
Normal.
Fairly.
Now, how long did you all date? I don't remember
I want to say it was like a year and a half.
A year and a half. So my question would be, before you share what transpired in the relationship, what led you to feel ready to get married?
I should probably back up then somewhat, because what I now understand is that I truly believe I was in a relationship with a malignant narcissist. Okay, so that's an actual term. I didn't see all of that coming. What I think happened was all of the textbook signs of entering a relationship with a narcissist and somebody who's going to abuse you in many, many ways, but I couldn't quite put my finger on them. And so there's a whole story to why I overlooked what I now know are red flags. Why I tolerated the violence in the marriage. There's so much. But I would say that one of the ways that a narcissist is going to be able to trick you is because they throw up a mask. They put a mask on, and underneath that mask, they are essentially empty people. But what they're doing, and doing a great job of, is telling you everything that they believe you want to hear. They're doing a great job of mirroring you, reflecting your values. In my case, he seemed to reflect my Christian values so well, particularly because it was almost as if he had truly been walking this out before I arrived on the scene. So I had something to believe. However, what I missed was that it was a very superficial Christian walk. I have a very deep Christian walk. That's not to sound self-righteous or anything like that, but I really am. I'm a Jesus girl all day. And so his language was right, his lingo was right, but we truly were unequally yoked, and I could not, for the life of me, see that until it was too late. I was trapped.
And the thing is, I will say, as your sister, we witnessed this relationship taking place, and
You were flat out concerned.
I was concerned from the, especially there were little things that you saw throughout the relationship. And I did, along with mom and dad, our family suggested, hey, like, maybe it's best for you to wait and so we can get to know him better. We had spent time with him, but we didn't really know him. Like, we typically, take in whoever the family takes in whoever we're dating.
I have a very loving family.
Yes, we like to get to know you. That's one thing. That's one thing I would highly recommend. Bring your potential partner around your family, so that they can get an eye for this person, because they know you. And they also will know if the person that you're with will be a good match. Do you want to talk about how at one point you actually did ask us if if we were picking up on some of the signs that you were picking up? You have to paint the picture for us a bit, because there were red flags that you overlooked, and you knew that.
That's loaded. I didn't really know what I was dealing with. But as we were emailing, we were doing a lot of emailing and seemed to have that common ground. That's the mirroring. Okay, so that was what opened the door for me to feel vulnerable. Like, this person is genuine. And then the love bombing started. Love bombing is essentially when a person just dumps all their feelings and emotions for you in an unnatural way. Love bombing can take place with words, or it could be gifts. It could be just exorbitant, over-the-top expressions of love and adoration. And to be honest, when you look back on it, it feels good at first, but then it starts to feel really weird, because it's like, why do you like me this much? It usually takes a long time to get comfortable with someone. I didn't know that that's what was happening to me initially. It was just like, we would be on the phone maybe for a couple hours. In those hours, 50 plus declarations of, I want to marry you. I just love you. I want to marry you. I can't wait to marry you. And admittedly, it felt like a bit much, but he is a little bit younger than I am. I just thought maybe he lacks some refinement, you know.
So that was one of the
heart was genuine.
Okay, that's one of the red flags. What was it? Did you see any other red flags that kind of made you concerned?
Yeah. Again, into the mirroring, there were some just unrealistic mirrors. Weird little things. Like, there was one point where he was over at our house late. Mom and Dad were around. It was so he had showered there, and I smelled this new soap that I know we didn't normally carry in the shower, and I smelled it. And when he came out of the shower, I said, "Hey, did you use that coconut body wash?" "No." And I'm like, "Bro, you're not in trouble. I just want to know if that's what I'm smelling." "No, I didn't." And then I got like, "But why would you lie about something that small? I'm now feeling very sure that I'm smelling the coconut soap. Could you just?" "Well, yeah, I used a little bit." And I'm like, but that was just a weird thing to get all, tense about. So we, deeper into our dating relationship, so in the mix of that year and a half, I saw the anger issues, the arguing, and I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to put that in our hip pocket, because it has a lot to do with why I stayed. Because I also recognized that I had problems too. Another reason that I ended up overlooking things was because I didn't understand what I believe Holy Spirit was trying to tell me. Holy Spirit was communicating with me this whole time. When I met this person, and early in the dating relationship, he had dropped a word on my heart. He had dropped the word sociopath in my spirit. While we were talking, while this person and I were talking, my now ex, were in the talking stage, I was very, very deep in my walk with the Lord, and I still am. I can hear the Lord pretty clearly as he's communicating things to me, and he dropped that word sociopath into my heart. And as I began to research it, what I realized was, okay, I think I'm seeing some of this stuff, but it's really hard to put my finger on. And what the part that I missed is that sociopaths, narcissists, they have a mask on. Their whole point is to mask that side of them from you. You're not really going to see it.
And if I can interject,
please.
I just have to say, these were all new terms for us. Even behaviors, I mean, again, we didn't spend enough time around him to see enough. I think had you all dated a little longer, these things would have shown up. Yeah. So, but yeah, we didn't know about narcissism. We didn't know about love bombing, mirroring. I mean, what is all of this?
Right.
But now we're, because of the situation, we're hearing that this is actually more, I don't want to say it's more common.
The issue is being exposed in this day and age in a way that back in 2015, 2016, when I had met this person, no, we didn't have the language. So I didn't have the mode of identification. I understood, okay, a sociopath will display these things. I'll say it now, I was dumb enough to actually ask him, "Hey, do you think you might have some of these characteristics?" Little did I know, a sociopath, a narcissist will never tell you, "Yeah, I think I am a little bit of these things. Let's go get me some help." They're never going to say that genuinely. So with that being said, I moved forward in the relationship completely unaware of what I was truly walking into. I had a check in my spirit, but I couldn't put my finger on anything definitive or concrete. So I moved forward, and we got married in 2017.
Right. So now take us to getting married, 2017, when did you start seeing the physical manifestation of abuse?
Okay.
Or even verbal, for that matter.
Yeah, it
Because
was
they're
both.
kind of coupled, right? Most times.
Yeah, and if you're seeing the verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, the physical is probably right on its heels. This is a 7-year saga that we're trying to cram into a podcast.
Yeah. As you can see, I'm filming Heal the Girl from a different location today. That's because this episode is sponsored by Vance Community Partners in Norristown, PA. If you're looking for a podcast setup or videography assistance, maybe you want to learn photography, make sure you check the description box below. I will link all their information down below. A special thank you to Vance Community Partners for sponsoring this episode. Now, back to the show. I think you saw signs like right after the marriage, after the wedding.
Right after the wedding. So I got cussed out the wedding night because he couldn't navigate to the, he'd missed a turn navigating to the hotel after the wedding.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So was there any physical at that point?
Nothing physical had taken place at that point. I'm stating what I'm stating to not put too fine a point on myself and my flaws, but I do need to acknowledge them. I was not without problems, So I accepted some of the verbal abuse because I was able to dish it back out. And when I later on understood how toxic that was and I addressed it, I believed that my then husband would do the same.
So
he did not.
So a part of you being in this relationship was because you felt like you two were very similar in a way where you saw yourself in him.
Yeah, and I didn't see myself as any better than he was. I thought, okay, we're just two angry fools, and we need to we need to get it together. We need some therapy.
Okay.
Little did I realize it was deeper than that, because I saw myself changing and I did not see the changes in him. So yes, 2017 was just a continuation of our regular fights, our regular arguments. Although I definitely wasn't cussing him back out on the wedding night, I was very surprised at how quickly shocked and hurt at how quickly that could flip. That's what I think I didn't. That's what I don't think I expected.
Right.
I mean, we had just taken vows, declared love, promises to each other in front of God and our family, and just like that, it did not matter. So with that, yes, I noticed verbal abuse was going to be a constant.
Yeah, from day one. When did you start seeing the manifestation of the physical abuse?
That came a few months into our first year.
Wow, in the first year.
And it was led up to by many arguments, many things. So 1 month into the marriage, I called Mom, and I literally described how I'm feeling in this way. I said, Mom, I feel like a used, discarded fast food cup that you see them tossed into the street and they've been run over so many times with the car that they're just becoming one with the asphalt. That you can kind of identify what that once was. That is how I felt not 30 days into the marriage. And I told Mom that. And I know her heart broke because she's just like, you are not supposed to feel that way.
We were there together that day. In the car.
Wow.
We had just left, I think, a car wash or something. We were sitting in parking. We were excited to talk to you. Because this was like maybe the first 2 weeks of being married. So we're like,
I would say 30 days, but yeah.
Yeah. We were excited to hear from you, and we were not expecting to hear that.
Yeah. I didn't even know you were there that day.
Yeah, I was.
And so, I mean, you can just tell there was the oppression and emotional abuse just was like crushing. It was crushing. So shortly after that, me and my then husband decide we're going to go on a spiritual fast and we're going to get ourselves together. I believe in fasting. He said he believed in fasting. He sold me his spiritual life. So I'm thinking I'm at least going into this with somebody who will stand on the firm foundations that we vowed. We get into a spat as we're planning the fast. It was something really dumb. And it had to do with my stubbornness. I was being stubborn about something. But when he pushed me, that was the first time things had ever gotten physical. And I was in disbelief. I was like, that just happened. Okay. I see what this is. We were both laying on the floor, doing a collage about what we were going to focus on in the fast. I wanted to keep the TV on because I needed background noise. You know us, we grew up with some background noise. Our house is never really truly quiet. I've now learned to discipline myself into loving the quiet. But you hear God better that way. But at that time, I wanted background noise. He didn't. It got ugly. He pushed me, like shoved me, like a kid in a sandbox. I'm like, what in the world? Husbands don't do this. And I got very angry. And I probably said some things that I shouldn't have said. Again, admitting my faults. But abuse is a whole other level. It's something that should just never be seen between two people who love each other.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure, like, in that first month, I mean, we were like, hey, get an annulment. Like, what is going on? Like, so...
And that's honestly what I should have done, but no. And I stood 10 toes down fighting that man that night. I fought him, and I fought him because he was fighting me.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely flabbergasted that he'd actually put his hands on me, that he'd actually taken a physical measure against me because I wanted background noise, and because he didn't like what I had said about it. And so that night, that was when he pulled a gun on me. He pulled a gun on me. So what he did was...
In preparation for the fast.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, the fast was shot. You can imagine. We didn't fast. We separated, and that took some time. But so yeah, what happened was there was the pushing, and then it escalated. I got very used to being punched. I was bruised. But yeah. So then, and I laugh about it now because of how ridiculous it is. But this happened. He's 6'6". He's anywhere at that time between 200, the span of our marriage, he's 200 pounds to 285 pounds. He's trained in martial arts. And so he picks me up, throws me over his shoulder, and hip thrusts me down to the floor. So I'm 6.5 feet in the air. I got hip thrusted down to the floor. My back hits the floor. The apartment shakes. I'm not being dramatic. This is what happened. And he stands over me and goes, "John Bones Jones!" I mean, he's proud of his work. Proud of his work.
Who's John Bones Jones?
John Jones is one of the most famous mixed martial arts fighters in the UFC.
Wow.
And he's unbeatable. And
that's what he says to his wife.
Yeah, he's proud that he did a John Bones Jones on me.
Okay.
And so after that, I get up and I see a belt on the dining room chair, and I grab that thing. And that's what sparked him. He could have left. The front door was right there. No, he reaches into the coat closet and pulls out, I think at the time it was a firearm. I think it was a loaded Taurus, I want to say. I think it was one of the first ones he ever bought, and points it down the hall at me. And then I duck behind a wall. And then eventually I call Mom and Dad, tell them what happened, and everybody is devastated, shaken.
Yeah, it's like, get out of that, you know, like, leave this man, like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Why are you still with him? It's evident that this is a very tumultuous, violent relationship.
Yeah. So crazy me, I stayed though.
Yeah, why? You gotta tell us why, because for people, I mean, I know people are wondering this too, like, the signs were all there. What would make a person stay any longer than from seeing those? What would make a person stay any longer?
People ask that question all the time to survivors of domestic violence. And I used to be one of those people who would ask that question. Now I don't have to, because I get it. There are so many things. I believe that there is some conditioning in my upbringing to tolerate some of that. That's deeper.
Yeah.
We come from a loving home, you know that. Our parents love us, but the way that discipline was done, it could prep you for this, to accept this.
And I would say it was strict, you know, and that more so coming from our dad. He loved us and he adores his girls.
Yes.
But the parenting style back in the day was very I don't know the word, but I would just say strict. And they were very big on discipline, respect, and a little harsh sometimes.
Yeah.
Or a little heavy-handed sometimes.
Yeah. I think, and we still believed we were loved through all that heavy-handedness, but that's exactly what that had a reverse effect on me, I would say. And then on top of that, my type of personality, I think that we grew up in a situation where a personality like mine, you know me, I'm a bit more type A, so I feel that in our environment, our community, whether it's, I mean, our whole family kind of has the same faith background, same church, same ideologies, same think tank, if you will, and I really never fit any of that. While, yes, I hold to a very biblical faith, I had my own ideas. I was always considered a free spirit, and I'm actually not as free-spirited as like people would think, but to my family, I'm something they ain't never seen before. I used to feel like the black sheep, and I really struggled with expressing myself and being allowed to have thoughts, to have a voice, particularly with men. And that got me into trouble in my marriage, ultimately, because I had fought, or I felt like I was fighting so hard for so long growing up to be acceptable, to be a woman that could be heard, when really it felt like nobody wanted to hear me. Not at home, not, I'll tell you the truth, not at church. There were things that I felt that I was passionate about bringing to my faith community. I didn't feel like there was any room for that. I felt like in life, wherever I had to run up against a man, I was going to be, my thoughts and ideas and expression were going to be suppressed, oppressed, because if it's too different from the think tank, they can't handle it. And while my delivery absolutely needed finessing, my delivery certainly needed refinement, I'm now realizing I'm not the problem all the time. It is okay to be me. It's okay to have a lion's heart. You know, it's okay to be outspoken.
Yeah.
There's a way to do it.
There's a way.
And
I think that was a huge turning point in your life, having been married now to a man who challenged you in ways that were familiar but also unfamiliar.
Yeah, very unfamiliar.
But you've walked away from that very refined in your approach.
Thank you.
To conversation
And conflict.
And conflict.
Yeah.
I think you've come a long way, girlie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do conflict well. I do it a lot better now.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we had our share of conflict.
Oh, of course,
as
sisters always do.
But I mean, now we don't even argue.
We know how to talk.
We know how to talk to each other.
And we've had 30 years to figure out how to talk.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, I think we understand each other also as women. And I really do feel like I ran up against sexism in some ways. It was almost clandestine. I don't know how to say that word with the right accents. But it was almost subliminal, subconscious, deeply ingrained, harmless in intent, but it was there.
Okay.
And I never felt acceptable as a woman with a voice, with an opinion. And so I fought for that growing up. I fought for that in my home. I fought for that in my community. And so entering a relationship, I already went into it thinking, I gotta fight. I already know I'm gonna have to fight.
And just to validate you too, I mean, I think one of the things our parents do cherish about you is the fact that you are so intellectual. You're a book reader, and you love to educate and share. And there's nothing wrong with that. And of course, you know, I always tell you that, but I'm telling you on this platform too that there is nothing wrong with you being bright and intelligent. People will be intimidated by intelligence and intellect, but don't let that change who you are. We're learning how to package and model, you know, what that looks like to present it in a better way.
Yeah.
But
and I appreciate that. I will no longer let anything or anyone dim my light, but I will make sure that it's refined by the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
That's my goal.
Amen.
Yes. So that was a big part of like figuring out my identity and my place in the world, always feeling like I was the problem, feeling like a weed. And so carrying that into a marriage, I just felt that if I can get this right, he'll stop abusing me. If I can get this right, maybe he'll change. If I can change me, then it'll change him. On top of that, you know, you have beauty standards of the world, not feeling conventionally beautiful, not feeling like I was worthy, you know, of better than this, and not fully stepping into my.
Unfortunate because you're so beautiful.
Thank you.
I always thought you're beautiful.
Yeah, you always tell me that, chocolate bunny.
Yeah.
But no, now I love my skin. Now I love my teeth. Now I love me. I do. I love me inside. I love me outside. I don't always like myself on camera, but I love
you on
me.
camera today, girl.
I know. Nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
What if something this small could change someone's life? Heal the Girl impact cards are created to inspire and encourage girls and women everywhere, at any time. Just keep them on hand, and when the moment comes, you can pass one along. Maybe it's the young girl struggling to discover who she is, or the devoted mother, your cashier, a waitress, everyday people in your life. There's an impact card for any moment. Choose a card to give and make someone's day. Suddenly, she feels seen and knows she's not alone. This is healing in your hands. Visit healthegirl.com to get your cards today. And when you receive a card from someone, take a photo with or of it and share how it impacted you on Instagram. Use hashtag HealTheGirlImpact so we can see the many places these cards are reaching. Let's go global and heal the girl around the world.
No, so now I love me. I can walk in the world as myself.
Yeah.
But an insecure Akira stepped into a marriage and tolerated a lot, thinking that I thought I needed to be loved that way and by him when I didn't.
To the point where you're willing to risk your life, essentially, because
Ain't that wild? That's wild.
Because, I mean, on numerous occasions, you already gave us a few accounts where your life could have been in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Was there anything specific that brought you to your breaking point?
So I'll just say there were 4 separations. In 2017 and in 2018, we had physically separated twice due to physical violence. I've been punched, I've been bruised, I've been kicked, I've been spit on, I've been thrown out of bed by the mattress. He'd pick up the mattress and throw me out of bed. So he's taken my phone as a control tactic. You'll get this back when you earn it, when I've determined that you have calmed down enough. Fast forward a little bit to, I had just delivered my son. This man, while I'm out of it, like on all the pain drugs and everything, I'm asleep in the hospital, and he's going through my text messages between me and mom. Not concerned about some other man.
Wow.
No. Insecure
Wow.
about, yes. And we'll get to 2020 and 2021 in a little bit. But yes, I had been.
That's just an invasion of privacy.
Totally. But he was afraid that we had been talking about him, and there were things that we had some very real concerns during the 2020-2021 era for things that we'll get into soon. So yes, I was communicating with mom about my relationship, and because it was in danger. I and unborn child had been threatened. Our lives were threatened. Just weeks before he'd come into this world. So I mean, you got the phone stuff. There were emotional and spiritual and sexual ways of abusing me too. So aside from the physical, but just to go back to the physical, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but forensically and statistically, strangulation is a precursor to homicide. I have been strangled more than I've been punched. I've been strangled more than I've been punched. I've had to tap out like a wrestler to communicate. I really cannot breathe. I'm going out. If you don't let me go, I'm going out. He's, again, MMA trained to some extent, but MMA trained, a big man. I have no training. I'm a woman.
A female, like,
this doesn't compute.
Not to say that a female can't defend herself, but these are things that, like,
you're obvious not even, genetic differences. Yeah. So I mean, he would capture my throat between his thighs and squeeze until I gave out. He would do that with his arms as well. He'd put me in all kinds of holds, arm bars, crazy stuff, just to control me. He'd pick me up and physically remove me from rooms.
And these are the aspects that we didn't know. These were things that we did not know. I mean, we knew aspects of the marriage that were volatile, and parents, myself, we were trying to help them work through it, through the counseling, encouraging that, also separating, getting help, and, not coming back together until enough counseling and therapy had been done. But there's only but so much say that mom and dad, could really have. At the end of the day, this was one of those things that you had to navigate, but we also had to navigate strategically to make sure that we were not putting you in a position to to be harmed. He's got her phone at different times. Very tricky thing to have to navigate.
Yeah, because you also don't want the us against the world complex to take place. And that did start to happen a little bit, where it was, your family is out to get us.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And so...
And we didn't want you, even, for that matter, to like turn on us, because until Mom and Dad always said this, until she's ready to make that move, she will resent her family.
That's kind of where, I mean, I never would turn away or turn against, but with him constantly in my ear, this is your family's fault. Your family's fault. Your family is the reason you can't get ahead. Yeah. Your family is telling you all this stuff. Right. You're not married to them anymore. You're married to me. You know, and I started to entertain some of that.
Yeah. So there were numerous times that we wanted to actually intervene and call the police and, you know, just get you out of that situation, but we were fearful that that would backfire in multiple ways. You know, losing you, or both of you conspiring, turning against the family. And we were just trying to save lives on both ends. We didn't want to see anything happen to either of you.
Yeah, even though, truly, you know, I've done some reactive things. There's something called reactive abuse. It does not let me off the hook for the toxicity that I contributed, but there is a concept where if you've been oppressed, abused for any amount of time, eventually you're going to start reacting in the same ways in which the abuser is abusing you. So he got physical. I've thrown down plates, I've broken dishes, you know, I've thrown keys, things like that. And it was, again, these things, until I had changed my reactive behaviors, I also could not imagine people getting involved to that extent, because in my mind, I hadn't done everything that I could do. In my mind, this was my fault. But now what I realize is I'm not the initiator. I am reacting to what's happening. Another thing that narcissists do, aside from gaslighting is when somebody makes everything your fault. That absolutely happened. It's also called, I think it's almost synonymous with blame shifting. But there's another thing that they do called rewriting history.
We need like a dictionary for all these
terms.
There's
There's a whole like NARC handbook now. No.
I'm like, girl, like you should be the author of it.
No, there are people who are a lot more studied than I am. Unfortunately, this is just experiential knowledge. But he would rewrite history. When I would confront him, you hit me. You punched me. You are violating me. You promised that when we got married and entered into conflict, you would take my hand and we would go into prayer. We would do anything but this. This was the promise. We literally drove we were driving home after the wedding, promising each other that we understand that the enemy is going to attack our marriage. Let's swear we're going to do these things.
Right.
And instead of implementing anything that we had initially promised, this is what happened. Physical violence, more verbal, emotional vitriol. I mean, extremely disgusting, horrendous language that I'll kind of get into in a minute. But one of the craziest things I've ever seen is the rewriting of history. You hit me. I never hit you. Cool as a cucumber. I didn't hit you. I'm holding my neck. I am in pain, quietly, silently going to work with a sore neck, and I'm checking the internet because there's something called delayed strangulation.
Right, and we didn't know about that until you came home for the last time.
Yep.
Yeah,
90% of the stuff the family is finding out now.
Yeah.
Yes, I hid the strangulation. I hid the brunt of the physical violence. I absolutely hid the second firearm incident, which I'll talk about in a second, that happened in 2020. So the delayed strangulation, I'm literally in pain for an entire week because of how squeezed I was. And so I'm constantly checking Google to make sure I'm not going to die, because delayed strangulation is a thing. Weeks to a month or even a few months after strangulation, you can experience brain damage and death. And I knew this, and I kept checking. I was like, wow, I don't feel any better. I'm not getting better. but I'm scared to go to the hospital. I'm scared to get
scared
checked
to tell
out.
us about it.
Scared to tell anybody. And I know I was more scared to go to the hospital because when they find out how this happened, he gets in trouble. I was so much more concerned with protecting him, protecting his image. He had me trained. Protect me, protect me, protect me. If you do this, if you tell the police, if you go to the doctor, you're going to ruin our lives. Ruin our lives as if we have a life together. But he would rewrite the history. I never strangled you. I never choked you. I'm literally in pain. I've written that during the divorce, I wrote out these incidents in my motion, and he denied every one of them in his motion, in his cross motion. So even now, rewriting history, when God knows, and I can see myself walking up the steps to my job, about to enter my office, just testing my neck, and wondering, is this going to catch up to me? Am I going to die? And not telling anybody. So yeah, rewriting history is a big, big, big thing. They will just flat out deny the things I've done to you.
Well, we clearly see that the Lord was with you.
Yeah, he was.
And he was
He
with
is.
Yeah, he is. He is. And that's one huge aspect of your story as well. We have all been so prayerful through this whole journey. So take us to 2020, because you referenced 2020 a few times. What were some of the highlight moments of 2020 that you wanted to share?
Well, 2020 is the year I became pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes. So I now have an extraordinary son, and he's going to be 4 soon. And
we love that little guy.
yeah, everyone who meets him tends to fall in love with him.
He's the best.
He's so unique. He's a very unique child and a godsend. And I saw him in a dream before he was even conceived. But so, I mean, the Lord is all over my story. That's like podcast part 2, because the supernatural invasion in my life as we were walking through this, incredible.
Right.
But there was talk of moving between my then husband and I. Did I really want to? No. But he, the most I can say is there was an attempt to isolate. So it was either going to be Florida or Arizona. Now there's a part of me that was down because I like to be warm. I don't like cold weather. However, I couldn't imagine being that far away from my family. I was just kind of sucking it up because he had to have his way. So when I suddenly get pregnant, that throws a wrench in everybody's plans. We also understood that eventually I was going to have to be home with this child. So my steady income was going to go away, and he was going to have to hold it down. From the moment he thought I might be pregnant to the birth, pretty much, it was hell. It was hell. So he went catatonic for about 3 weeks, couldn't get out of bed, because he understood how much this baby was going to interrupt and disrupt his plans, namely to move us to Arizona. That was like one of the biggest issues. He wanted to move to Arizona. I'd never been pregnant before, so I felt a little weird 6 weeks in. I went to the hospital or to the doctor, and I asked them, like, could you just check me out? I know I'm pregnant, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't ectopic, because I was actually in pain. I found out your body starts adjusting to accommodate a baby, and you feel some weird stretching pains. It wasn't ectopic, thank God. But I went to go get checked out, and I brought home ultrasound pictures. He and I get into an argument about having this child, and this is when the second firearm incident takes place. He is doing what he often does. He would disrupt the spiritual environment in the home, but also just the environment of comfort to exert dominance and control. And so we're arguing, and I'm in my vanity blow drying my hair, and I had just brought home these pictures of this tiny little embryo, and fully aware, this is my child. I'd just seen the heartbeat flickering on the screen. It was the most magical thing. This is during COVID, so I'm in there alone anyway.
Not that I talk about how he was, well, not talk about how he was conceived. I think people know how he was conceived. But talk about just the timing of that, because that was special.
He was conceived
too.
on your wedding day.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also just, I don't know if you wanted to share that. We can edit it, but just the unexpected timing of that.
Well, that does get into, that's important, because he also blamed me for planning this. He blamed me for getting pregnant on purpose. You got pregnant on purpose. He has no idea how afraid I was of becoming a mother. I was actively avoiding becoming pregnant for 4 years in this marriage.
Right.
I could not see myself as a mom. Like, the life I'm living now is not the one I imagined. He has no idea how terrified I was of finding out that I was pregnant. But the immediate joy that surged through my soul when I saw those 2 lines, all that fear just went away. God did it for me.
Yeah.
So we're arguing about having this baby, and I had just come from seeing the most magical moment of his heartbeat, and I'm excited, but I'm scared because I understand that what I'm coming home to is despair. It's demonic. It was honestly the most demonic environment ever.
Yeah.
My pregnancy I had a beautiful pregnancy, but everything around was so dark and so wicked and so evil. And so we're arguing about having this baby. I'm blow drying my hair in the mirror. He is behind me on the bed playing with firearms. This is what he does. And now would probably be a good moment for me to just say, during the span of our marriage, like even during COVID, he spent a crazy amount of money on an AR-15. Brought that home.
Why?
Because he's obsessed.
What's the need for this?
I cannot tell you how many firearms made their way in and out of our home. He was always buying them and trading them, And he had an obsession. That AR-15 came into my home without my knowing, without my permission. Like, he just came home with it. We did not discuss it.
Wow.
This giant iron safe from Cabela's, he brought that home without really discussing it with me. I mean, it's a monstrosity in my bedroom. Anyway, he's playing with the firearms on the bed. We're arguing about the future because it's just changed with the inception of this child. And he's playing with them. He's switching out cartridges, magazines, and there are bullets, and he's changing parts. And there are 2 of them. He puts the magazines back in and he racks them. He racks the firearms. And then he thinks of a place to... He fires it. We have neighbors on the left, neighbors on the right, neighbors underneath. So he gets this idea, let me just point it where you're standing. The window, my vanity mirror is in front of a window. So he believes he's firing it out the window. You can your guess is as good as mine where his mind really was.
Like, what were you thinking?
Because the gun goes off and an actual bullet flies out. And if I hadn't been leaned over to the left to adjust the blow dryer cord, that thing would have hit me.
Right.
I have pictures.
Yeah.
That was December 2nd of 2020. The same date that's on my ultrasound. The same day that I've got receipts. I have receipts of a lot of things. I've got audios.
I'm
I've
just
got
sorry
pictures.
that you even went through that. This is so
It's
not
wild.
what we expected your story or your life, to have. Just didn't expect you to have to go through anything like that. I mean, nobody expects that, but just sorry that you endured that.
Thank you. Yeah. It was painful.
That's a lot.
It was painful. Yeah. And you know what? I grieved it later. I mourned it later. In that moment, you know what? Some might think this is wicked, but when that firearm went off and it missed me, I laughed. Because I'm like, finally somebody's going to see how evil you are. Finally somebody's going to see the rottenness. Because why are you playing with firearms in our bedroom? Why would you lift that thing up and point it in the direction of another human? A human who's carrying a baby. That you conveniently don't really want right now. And so there's a big old hole in my vanity where I was standing and one through the window. And his fear wasn't whether I was okay. It wasn't. He downplayed that entire thing. He called the police on himself. And that was his fear. His fear was how much trouble he was going to be in. His fear was whether he'd hit somebody else. Because if he'd hit somebody else in what's called a negligent discharge, he could still be in trouble. So he called the police on himself. They asked a weird question. They asked me, you guys weren't fooling around, were you? Fooling around registered very differently to me. I thought he was was asking me like a sexual question, to tell the truth. The police officer was actually asking if we had been fighting. By the time that question registered to me, my husband had started talking and rewriting history, cleaning up the scenario to the cops. He was becoming chummy. They started laughing. Oh. And I got scared.
And your story reminded me so much of the Gabby Petito story. This was a couple years ago, but the Gabby Petito story came out around the same time that you were going through all of this mayhem. And she ended up...
she's no longer with us.
She's no longer with us. And her story just, my heart goes out to her family. For just even having to it's just such a terrible story.
And you were low-key, you were sliding me little articles and stuff, because at that time I think she was missing.
Yes, she had gone missing for some time, and he wanted to take you, you all did a road trip to Florida. He wanted to travel with you, and he wanted to take you far, far away, and that had me extremely uncomfortable. Me and, of course, the family, we were just, not feeling that. We don't trust you. So
enough had happened between 2017 and 2020 that the family was thoroughly traumatized. However, I would like to just say that they never stopped treating him like family.
Yeah. We prayed. We believed that he could change. We wanted to see the best of him.
He had every opportunity to become what your husband is to our family. All those same opportunities were extended to him. He's had carte blanche, if you will, with our parents. He had every opportunity to prove his character. He never did. Everybody
saw the potential.
Yes.
That's the thing. We saw the potential.
That's what Mom loved the most about him.
Yeah.
He seemed to have potential. But he never lived up to it. So, and that's the thing about potential. It can go one way or the other.
Right.
Never bank on potential. Go by what you see.
Yes.
When somebody shows you who they are the first time, absolutely believe them.
Yes.
So, with that being said, pregnancy in 2020, he does not want to have this child. I had begun to plan for the birth and everything. I had it set up a certain way. I had a birth plan. All of that got wrecked when he'd abandoned me twice during the pregnancy, first of all. Because of his abandonments, we couldn't have the baby shower. He was going to force me to show up very pregnant to my own party completely alone, because he had insisted on starting our lives over, once in Arizona and once in Florida. So he abandoned me at the beginning, in the first trimester and in the last trimester, to start our new lives by working at Amazon in Arizona or in Tampa. Not a great plan. There were things that were said about we'll just have to live in the car. We'll just have to eat less. You're about to take me and a brand new baby far away from our support system. I could not stand for that. And this was what a lot of our arguments became about. Month 8, the mother of all arguments takes place. And I told him to his face, I believe you are a narcissist. Now, mind you, sometime before that, he was high, which was a deal breaker for us. For me, going into the relationship, he knew I don't do pharmakia. God bless, but if that's who you are, that's not who I am. As a believer in Jesus Christ and in the Word, I don't think that's what we should be doing. And superficially, he agreed. I cannot tell you how many times that stuff made its way into my house without me desiring for it to be there. It was part of his abuse. He would flaunt that in front of me. He would play very demonic music on purpose. He would mingle the two, just to shake the environment of
right.
So, super pregnant, month 8. I tell him he's a narc. He'd confessed to being a narcissist one day while he was high. He wouldn't let me see his eyes or his face, but he told me, you've been right about me the whole time. I am a narcissist, and God has been protecting you, basically, from me. This came up again, and I'm like, dude, I can't deal with you. You are a narc. That sent him off the rails, and I I knew he was angry, but I went to take a shower.
What came up again, that conversation you're saying?
The fact that, yes, he told me he never wanted to talk about being a narcissist ever again.
So that topic came back up.
I was not allowed to use the N-word.
Right, it's triggering.
It was a trigger.
Yeah.
And he took it as a slur. I took it as a fact. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm telling you what I really believe, and you are inflicting this on me.
Okay.
And so I'm telling him what I believe about him, and it's infuriating him. If I was smarter, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But the point is, I knew that day was the day I had to leave. Earlier that day, I'd written a letter to God. And I said, basically, Lord, and I still have a letter, Lord, show me what I'm dealing with. He showed me in about an hour. The narc conversation flared up. I go to take a shower. He comes into the bathroom. I'm naked, pregnant, showering. And I begin to pray because he's threatening me now. He wants to rip the baby from my womb. He wants to tear my face from he wants to tear my flesh from my skull. He wants to do all these things. I knew I had to leave. Then he goes, you think prayer is going to save you? You think it's the demon comes out and the Lord answers my prayers and he shows me. I end up calling up my dad and our uncle to come and get me. Even after all the threats, I had to move back to Pennsylvania to keep my job. But what I had done was I had entertained him during the entire time we're separated. So slowly I'm being conditioned still to believe in him. Right, he still
didn't get the counseling, right?
No, never really got it. He had a couple sessions with somebody who helped him get his finances right, not his mind.
Okay.
So, and that was toward the end. Then the counseling, therapy had never happened. He made every excuse in the book for why in the 7 years we were together, he could never take that seriously. He never truly pursued it. Even stopped going to church. That was like my bare minimum requirement. Never resumed going to church. Right. So, I'm back with him, and I realized I'd made a grave mistake the day I moved back in there. But now I am attempting to raise this boy with him, and he's showing me that's not going to work. The same trauma he's inflicting on me, he's going to inflict on the child. I noticed that around 2 years old, our child was still nonverbal. It wasn't until I moved us out and escaped that final time, which was in 2023. He became verbal. Now, isn't he incredibly verbal?
Oh yeah,
he's extremely vocal.
Oh my goodness, he shocks us all the time.
Other family members had even noticed that as a baby, his demeanor would change when his dad would come home. Now, they've had good times together and things like that, but there was a lot of abuse, there was a lot of tension, there was a lot of things that he still remembers, things that at 4 years old he can vocalize about things that happened when he was 1 or 2. One particular thing that was very telling that he was not going to be a healthy parent or a safe parent. Baby was running a fever during COVID, and I made an emergency doctor's appointment. He agreed. Husband agreed to take the baby to the doctor. I'm a new mom. Fever is scary, and somehow I'm working. I'm working from home, and somehow though we're in an argument, and he's like, you know what? I'm not taking the baby now. You're gonna take him, but I am working. So all of a sudden, I had to leave work, very unprofessional, like my manager understood, but I got that baby ready and got him to the doctor's appointment by myself in the winter during COVID with no assistance.
Right.
And that's when I realized, wow, even the child will suffer for your ego and your narcissism. You will use a child as a pawn to control and manipulate me. And there were many circumstances like that. I have a lot of text messages asking him to help me care for the child during different times, and he just refused. He refused to step up. Not only did he refuse to step up, but he was violent about it and vile in his language.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, you suffered a lot, and I mean, even your son did. And again, we are so thankful that you survived that. That's not everybody's story. And the reason why we're sharing this is that the other ones listening and watching can get healing through this experience, whether you've been there, know somebody who is or has been, or to avoid it altogether. And we want to talk about, in closing, how you were able to restart your life, and what are the things that you're trying to do to implement safety and protection for your child and others. What are some of the things that you're trying to do now, and how were you, I will just ask you this, how were you able to flee? Because one of the main points in Gabby Petito's story was that she tried, and she didn't she wasn't able to in enough time. So how were you able to flee?
Fleeing was, again, a work of the Spirit. But there came a week in August 2023 where I just knew this is it. There was financial abuse. There had been, I'll say sexual misconduct in that I was being used for my body but not respected.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that. He knew that he could emotionally harm me and still demand or expect sexual gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most important thing, and that was really beginning to harm my self-esteem. I actually asked the Lord, I said, Lord, please don't make me have to lay down again with him. And God granted me that. I got out before I ever had to be wifely again. It was our son. And recognizing that, no, this is not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I have changed. I'd done counseling. I'd done therapy. I was quieter. I was more submissive. I was a shell of myself, but I was not arguing. I was allowing myself to be disrespected. My son was witnessing. He was feeling the tension. And I knew this is not good. So there came a point where I just knew this is the week. And there was a way that I knew I could get out. I wasn't trying to start an argument, but I brought up the fact that he had chosen. We had $8 to our name. Mm-hmm. That is, again, the financial abuse piece is a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I had stopped working so I could take care of the child, and he promised he was going to hold things down. Mm-hmm. But he had quit 2 out of 3 forms of his income and then refused to go to work on this particular Thursday when we had $8 to our name and no way to feed this child. Mm-hmm. Save a check that came from the heavens. I'll just leave it at that. And when I confronted him about it, after finding a way to make food and serve everybody, he said, honey, how come you didn't go to work today? Mm-hmm. And that sparked the final argument. And I just told him, after he had gotten done raising up toward me, cussing me out and everything, telling me how much he hated me, and I told him, remember how, like, last week I told you, if you disrespect me again, I'm divorcing you. Like, that's it. Well, he got up on his toes, as if he's not already 6.5 feet in the air, and said, all right, mean it this time. And I said, all right, I do. And I called Dad, and he came to get me with our 90-year-old grandfather. And we got hauled out of there, and the police came, and it's interesting, the police said, we've been here before.
Right. And
yeah, it's because I had been there with the firearm incident.
Mm-hmm.
So we got out, never to return. It's been a whole healing thing of trying to put my life back together. Yes. But I have found new purpose. One, right, obviously healing our son from trauma. Mm-hmm. But also making sure it doesn't happen again. Mm-hmm. So what I've run into is a very ugly thing with the court system. Realizing that, particularly in New Jersey, the family court system does not acknowledge previous domestic violence as a danger to the child. They only care when violence has happened to the kid. Mm-hmm. And it's atrocious that I'm telling you, and I have evidence, there was abuse, there were firearms, there was strangulation. Some of these things happened to me while the child was in utero. Some of the things happened in the presence of the child. Mm-hmm. All of that should be considered abuse. Right. All of that should be, this person did not take into account the harm that the child was enduring, right, while they were acting out.
If he could do it to you, he could do it to the child.
Obviously. So. And here's the thing. If somebody ended up dead, they'd be looking back at all my previous evidence as a pattern. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to look at it as a pattern today for who this person is. He has set the groundwork for a homicide to take place. Right. But they have court-ordered unsupervised mm-hmm. visitations with mm-hmm. the person who, and I've only scratched the surface of the things that we've endured as the things that I've endured as a wife and the things that my son has witnessed. Mm-hmm. And but I've included all of these things in my motions in court, and they still determine unsupervised visitation should be the norm in my circumstance. So I can't say too much, but I can say that action is being taken on a legislative level to make this right in New Jersey, because children do die at the hands of
the
abuser, who maybe never abused them before, but have shown forth enough patterns, to cause great concern. And I don't understand how the court systems are forcing protective parents to play Russian roulette with their children. They're forcing parents to say, here you go, be bait to a known abuser, and I'm supposed to take that chance.
No.
They'd rather walk that parent, the abusive parent, into a healthy relationship rather than protect the one who can't do anything. So right now the courts emphasize the right of the parent to parent. They actually have told me, I want to walk your ex-spouse into a parenting relationship with the child rather than protecting my actual child. So one thing that I have done that I can talk about is there is a petition on change.org that I'm sure you'll link.
Yes. All that information will be in the description as well.
Your signature matters, even if you're not from New Jersey. If you believe that this is, crazy, and you believe that my cause is worth fighting, it's not just my cause or my son's cause, it's the cause of every child. Please do sign that petition. That's one of the ways that we're
making change happen. Absolutely. There's a lot of meat to this story. There's a lot of details that we're not sharing right now. It affected me. There were times even through separations, especially when her son came, when my nephew came, I had a physical reaction to her returning home, which was really something because I didn't realize it was subconscious. But I actually started having high anxiety at the fact that you were going to go back into this environment. And I ended up in the hospital because of that. I went to the hospital to see
your heart was going nuts.
Yeah, my heart was going nuts. It was anxiety, but didn't realize that it had something to do with her. We thank God for what he's brought you through. Do you have any closing words?
A few things. If you're in a situation like mine, do everything you can to get out when you're ready. I say when you're ready because the truth of the matter is you won't leave until you're ready. But when you can, be smart, prepare, collect every shred of evidence you can, keep your receipts, keep your pictures. Don't let anybody tell you. I was told by Christian counselors that by me collecting my evidences, I was keeping a record of wrongs as a violation of 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. That's not true. I was protecting myself. And I'm glad for the evidences that I did keep. They have helped me. Keep every shred of evidence that you can to prove your point that this is a dangerous person in your life, especially if you have a child. Do not neglect red flags. Do not overlook them. Do not overlook the feeling in your gut.
Yes.
Because that's the first thing that happened. I got the feeling in my gut that this was wrong, but I didn't listen to it because I was going based on what the deceiver was showing me. And lastly, keep Jesus in the center of everything, because if you listen to the Holy Spirit, he can help you avoid these things and he can get you out. But you need to have a real relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. I really believe that. And while I did have and I do have a relationship with the Lord, I didn't understand quite yet what his voice sounded like. And I will say this too, he protected me through all of it. Even though I ultimately made the mistake of going through with the marriage and staying for 7 years, his protective hand never left. The gunshot missed me. I did not suffer brain damage. I did not die after the strangulation. I got punched so hard I fell to the ground once, but it doesn't matter. I got back up. He protected me. He protected my son. And we are living in the testimony of his protection right now.
Amen. Sissy, Kira, thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story. Some could feel ashamed and not want to share this. I mean, there's a lot of ugly in this, but these are the stories that we need to bring light to because they're not foreign. There's somebody else who's, like I said, going through it, walking through your shoes, or on the outskirts of it, or somebody who wants to know, how do I avoid this? Or I'm already seeing signs of a person like this, and this story will promote healing to those who need to hear it.
That's my hope and my prayer.
So thank you.
I just wanted to say that shame was one of the things that stopped me from speaking up earlier. To go through that in your first year of marriage is kind of unthinkable. You just had your friends and family around celebrating you. And I couldn't bear the embarrassment of saying, not only did this not work, but this is really violent. Like, I'm getting hurt. This person's hurting me. And I've been hiding it from you all. But God has healed me from that as well.
Yes.
Because I have absolutely no shame. The Bible is full of people who made bad decisions, made mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's a redemption story.
Exactly.
Yes. And
Exactly.
I believe that my happier ending is yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
But even if nothing happy happened, the point is, I'm a human being. I'm not above anybody. Bad things happen. And it's about how God can restore you. It's about helping other people. There's really no shame in that, because we all have a walk.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a journey.
Right.
You know, and this is mine, and if I bottle it up, it doesn't help anyone.
Exactly.
And it doesn't free me either. God is working it out for my good.
God is
He
working
is.
it out for your good in the end, and we thank the Lord for that. So thank you all so much for listening in and watching. Yes, thank you for coming to Google Girl. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And for you at home, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Leave a comment below. Please share this video with others. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.